Hey YouTube, Lester here. And during these strange and unusual times that we're experiencing right now, here in the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, it is a time when some of us are maybe out of work, we're home, we're trying to explore new parts of ourselves. We're trying to find things that are going to keep us going, keep us feeling good. I want to share something here with you today. Something that kind of lifted me out of a depression, you might say, about 10 years ago. I went through this phase where I was working for a contract security company, and I wasn't making a lot of money, and I was going in debt faster than I was making money, and my cars kept breaking down, and I was constantly struggling. I had to ride the bus back and forth to work for a year. I had to take the bus down into a city, get on an underground train, ride that out to another town, and then I had to walk by choice a mile up the road to my work site, and then I'd do it all again at the end of the day. I would do this 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, and it was a humbling experience, something I needed to go through, but I had just gotten out of college, and I was feeling like I had nothing to show for all the schoolwork that I'd done. I'd worked hard to get a degree, but I wasn't working in my field, and I wasn't earning the money I wanted to be earning. And, I had a lot of feelings of regret and everything else. So I got really I had always been admired people who had an innate ability to draw, and I was never naturally talented in drawing, but I always when I was just in even in elementary school, you knew who the kids were that were really talented with drawing, and I wasn't one of them, but I always admired people who could produce art. So I want to recommend this book today. If you're home, if you're out of work, if you're in quarantine, whatever. This is at least 10 years old, at least. I got this 10 years ago. I'm sure you can still find it. But this is, without being able to compare this to a lot of other art books that are out there, seeing as this is the only one I ever bought, I would say this has got to be one of the finest complete guides to drawing there ever was, only because when I started, I read this whole book and 10 years ago, and I tell you, I had no drawing experience before I read this book. Zero, zilch, my stick figures weren't even good, and I went through this book, and what it taught me was what media to use in drawing. It explains to you drawing techniques, and most importantly, the pictures that were put in this book for demonstration. I don't want to open too many pages because I don't want to get into copyright issue troubles and stuff like that. But let me just open. Here's just one sample of this book. Is loaded with sample drawings, and I needed something to boost my confidence, and I was producing nothing other than carbon dioxide. I went to work every day. I exercised and worked out, but I'd never done anything. I never produced anything. I never had anything to show for my toils, and I needed something to get me out of that. I needed something to build my confidence, and I asked myself, can I do this? And I really wanted to know yes or no if I could draw. I want to find out one way or another. So I started studying this book, and I started to analyze the drawings, because the drawings are so detailed that you could literally take and look at the drawing and follow the lines, and you could analyze the techniques, and you can use your eye to take that from the page and put it onto paper to do your drawing. And so this book became a workshop for me to teach myself how to draw. Now, I'm not an artist, and this wasn't quite like riding a bike without training wheels. It was like riding a bike, but it was like riding a bike with training wheels. A true artist can take and draw something from their imagination. I truly can't do that. But I appreciated that I was able to figure out how to make my own workshop, and how to take from what was on the page and put it onto a piece of paper and create something that I was proud of. So while I'm not an artist, and I didn't carry on with this hobby and eventually learn to start drawing things from my imagination, my attention ended up going somewhere else. But I always remember this experience that I had over a couple of months when I was doing a lot of drawing and learning out of this book and learning from YouTube. And I'll probably revisit this someday, and begin to draw again. Most people will never live 100 years, and some things to get as good as the artist is done all the drawings in this book would take a lifetime. And I understand that, and I totally respect that. And I know that there's people that dedicate their lives to art, and to do what some artists do does take a lifetime of your focus. But for me, this experience it broke the monotony for me, and it gave me some confidence. And I want to share with you guys my results. So I'm going to open up my sketchbooks and show you what I was able to produce after just a couple of months, and just I just had such a great focus, because I had such a great desire to want to draw something that was impressive and that I was proud of. And so this is the book by Giovanni Savardi, and I'm sure you can find it if you search it. And it's just a wonderful book. So if you're in quarantine and you're looking to explore your talents, this is truly a great book. All right, so my sketchbook. Let me take a little sip of my coffee here, and give you guys a little look at the results. All right, so this is 10 years old, so it's not as clean as it used to be. Let's see if so this was a drapery over a chair. Now, each one of these drawings, I did put a reference in the back to show, where I copied the idea from, and I'll show that after every picture. So this was the very first thing that I was fascinated. I thought this was came out of the Giovanni Savardi drawing book, and I was so impressed with it, and I love this picture so much that I drew it myself. So this is my version of it, and I think it came out pretty good. And then right there on the back is the reference of where I got it from. And then this is also from the Savardi book. This was the eyes, and There's again my signature down there with the date 2010, and I really kind of fell in love with drawing eyes. It's just such a beautiful thing to be able to do, to draw eyes. And again, there's the reference on the back. Now this one I think is also from Savardi. Again, I'm not trained. I've definitely not been practicing and drawing my whole life, but I think this is pretty good for, again, I was intensely focused on this, and I had a great desire to want to draw good pictures and to learn how to draw. So, and then that's also reference Savardi. Now this one right here, I totally copied this from a YouTuber. I think there was a tutorial on YouTube on how to do this one. And this is just a goofy skull, but it just looks cool, like it should be on a t-shirt or something. And yeah, I had fun doing that one. And references on the back for that one. It was a YouTuber by Paula Lex Thornton. This thumbs up was another YouTube tutorial. And again, reference was on the back. Now this one is kind of funny because this came out of the Savardi book, but it looks nothing like the portrait that was in the Savardi book, and it ended up looking like in his most uncanny way, my brother Kyle. So yeah, that was my first ever attempt at drawing a face. All right, and then let's see, then it ended right there, and then in the back, I go to the back, I got more in the back here. This was probably the hardest one. I don't know why. I think just this foot was really hard to get this to look right. I erased this like hundreds of times. Also came from the Savardi book. Mouths and lips and teeth, also from the Savardi. Noses were not my strong point, but again, here's my practice on noses that I did. This is a YouTuber skull. Came off of YouTube. Cat tussock. There's an ear. The idea came from the Savardi book. And I think this is like apple on a lunch bag or something, and that also came from the Savardi book. The idea came from the Savardi book. I drew it, but copied it from what I saw in the Savardi book. All right, so one more to show you guys. Okay, another ear. Not the greatest ear. Not the greatest ear. But the idea came from Giovanni Savardi. Some more noses. Not the greatest noses. Came from the Savardi book as well. Referenced on the back. I definitely am proud of these lips and mouths. And they came from the Savardi book. And that's World Industries logo right there. And I think that's the last thing I ever drew. And that was just for fun. But yeah, so thanks for checking out the video. Just wanted to share that with you. And hopefully you'll pick up the book. I'm sure because it's so old, you can probably get it pretty cheap. You can probably get it used on eBay or get it new on Amazon pretty cheap. And explore your talents. Maybe you find that this is something that you're really good at. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for checking it out. Please like and subscribe. And be safe out there. Bye-bye now.